Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Orkney Livewire podcast with me, Christian Cooper.
Me, Claire Ross.
Me, Scott McCormick.
And me, Walter Gorman.
Yeah, we've got Walter in the studio today. He's going to speak about bits and pieces.
Lots of different things.
Ex-Blues Festival chairman, usual suspect.
Dirty Rotter.
And member of the Rock Festival.
And
Yes.
Rock Festival. Committee man. Yeah, so what's folk been up to? It's Sunday afternoon. Any hangovers?
No, I'm clear. I had one yesterday, but
Yeah, me neither. Working last night and this morning, so...
No, rock and
Clean
roll
and dry.
lifestyle, watching
Totally.
films last night. Totally. Yeah.
And falling asleep.
Yeah, and falling asleep.
I very nearly fell off the wagon. Well, I did fall off the wagon last night. Not the chariot, but the wagon.
Were you out with the rugby?
I was watching the rugby and driving until half time at the Scotland-England game when the nerves got to me and I got the old man to pour me a big gin.
Did something special in particular happen? Or?
Well, it was, a reasonably decent win.
I didn't look at my
beating the
phone last
Palms.
night, but I see I got a text for you at 11:15 and thought, aye, in the Moorhouse.
No, I ditched the car and had a few drams and then caught the bus home. Like a good boy at 20 to 10 last night.
What?
Yes.
That's very
Getting
reserved.
sensible in your old
And
age.
then a cup of tea.
He's approaching 40 fast, so...
39 and a half. Leave me alone. Oh, what else has been happening? There's been a few gigs in the last month or so.
Yeah, but the last episode that we spoke about was the Making Noise Against Suicide gig. So that happened on the 20th of January. Was anybody at that? I missed it, but...
the rest of us were, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
we
Yeah,
were.
I was on sound duty.
Yeah, we played. I think we got kind of late notice, and I did wonder whether we would get an audience or no there. You can be in January and folk are still hibernating after Christmas, New Year.
And before
Bank accounts empty, etc.
PD, yeah.
It started off quiet though, and got busy as the night went on, and really enjoyed playing.
It was a good night, good turnout.
It was, yeah.
And do you want to speak about that again just for a second? What was it all about in the first place? Because obviously folk might not have listened to the last podcast, don't know what we're on about. So.
Yeah. Well, it was raising awareness for mental health issues in Orkney. And it wasn't to raise any money or anything like that. It was a free gig. But it was just so that people kind of... I don't know, you could just come along and know that everyone else is supporting you and going through the
Same mindset in the
yeah.
same space as you. And
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Just getting everything out in the open, isn't it? And realising you're not the only one. If you're not feeling top form, you're feeling a bit down.
There's a
Everybody
bit of a
does.
stigma, isn't there? And
Yeah.
people don't like to talk about it. So if there's a gig like that and that many people were there, it's good.
Yeah.
As Ray and I both said, Ray O'Neill, sometimes it's okay to say you're not okay.
Exactly.
And sometimes people don't. And 24 hours can make a difference, and so can 10 minutes and half an hour in those circumstances. And it's having the right contacts and the right people around you to support you and feel that you can do that. But as we know all too well of late, that hasn't transpired, and we've had unfortunately had a few casualties.
But no, it was nice. It was good. It was Theo, wasn't it? Theo Awayme that organised the gig himself. So
Yeah,
and what was the girl's?
oh, why? What do you
I know
call
a guy it was.
That's it. It was
Yeah.
that.
That's it, yeah. So no, I mean that was good that they've done something like that and raised awareness. So, and that it was well attended. So, who were the bands? You were playing Dirty Rotters. Who else was playing?
Electric Mother Unplugged, and then an Electric Mother set to finish the night.
And Nice
a
Flow
couple
and
of-
Jet Play as well.
That's
weren't
right. A
they?
couple of Theo's friends from London.
Yeah,
I'm doing some MCing, right enough.
yeah. What like were they as visiting acts?
Different.
Yeah.
I don't know what the genre is called because I don't listen to that kind of music, but it was sort of like, hey, I don't even know how to explain.
It's kind of grime. I was
What do
told.
you think?
I was told by one guy that it wasn't. He was expecting grime,
Right.
but it wasn't grimy enough, which was kind of above my head. I'm not.
It's somewhere between rap and what
It's kind of MCing and stuff.
the spoken word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they got everyone
Like
going.
performance.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
They got everyone going. They came off the stage
Oh,
and,
they did.
and had wireless mics and jumped around. So they had everybody dancing by that time. I was even dancing to a bit of it. Which is,
I was watching it.
Oh well, good stuff. What else has been happening over January, February?
Well, someone's birthday happened.
There was a pretty surprise birthday party, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was a surprise party, was it?
Well, no, I think the party was known about, but the what was going on at the party I had no idea of.
Yeah.
Claire turned 40.
Yeah, so was it Smid organised that, was it?
Smid, yeah, and I think Coops might have had something to do with that as well.
And Ingrid, of course.
And Ingrid, yeah, they'd snuck together and organised a bunch of bands to come and play. So Smid had gotten a band called Throat Locust to come down from Shetland, who I have seen before. I've seen they played at the Summerdown Bike Rally a couple of years ago. It was their first gig. And they did a lot of the 90s grunge, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana sort of stuff. And I absolutely loved them. So I was absolutely delighted when they walked through the door of the motor house on Friday night off the boat. So and I think they went down quite well.
Yeah, I always think it's a pretty brave genre. But it's Kevin.
Kevin Tulloch, yeah.
Fantastic voice. There's not many folk can pull off a sort of Chris
Sort of some
Cornell
range,
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was absolutely blown away by him, actually. Doing the sound for some vocalists, don't get offended. Well,
Me, wow.
he was probably one of the best I've ever worked with. Like, his range was incredible. He was in tune.
He does a lot of his own control as well. You were seeing that with his mic.
Yeah,
Back and
exactly.
forth with the mic. And
No, and you had, was it the drones opened up that night for your party?
yes, yeah. Apparently I kept them waiting.
And they were, they were
Being a bit late.
eager to get going. Like, I think.
I know.
But they have to have their parents with them, so they were maybe wanting to get home to watch EastEnders. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Joe, the drummer, stayed for the whole night. Joe's and his parents, obviously.
Ah, right, yeah.
So it was good. But no, I was absolutely delighted that they had been organised, because when we saw them just before Christmas, and as I said, raved about at the time, they played the Long Pigs.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of the sort of grungy stuff as well. So Muse, Radiohead, and a bit of Nirvana things, So I was clean high that they played, and they went down really, really well. A lot of folk that aren't normal to the gigging scene came out that night to the party and saw them for the first time and were just blown away by them and by the fact that they were so talented.
Yeah, they must raid their parents'
Record collection, yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty, it's stuff we grew up with.
Yeah.
Well, the first
It's a
Foot
90s
Soldiers are a
grunge.
bit like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when they were outside at the motor house, and I went up and said, where did you pick up these ideas for your set? And they went, oh, that's my dad's collection. Same thing, that's right.
Yeah.
It's passed on down the line, doesn't it?
Doing covers with ELO. I don't think there's anyone else that does that. I know of, anyway. Brilliant. No.
Played with conviction as well. It's no like it's boring either, is it?
You had Electric Mother, Acoustic Mother as well.
Yeah, there was an impromptu set by Acoustic Mother, I think, that had been arranged at the last minute. I think Callum had gotten in touch with Smid a couple of days before the party and said that they were up for playing, so that was really good as well. And again, it was kind of a whole theme to the night, the sort of 90s grunge rock thing that was going on. So it was quite apt, I thought, and everybody there seemed to love it. Was it Kirsty McLaren? She was working. No, she wasn't working. She was there that night, and she said it was like the Motor House was 20 years ago.
Nice.
The type of bands and the atmosphere and everything. She said it was just one of that night. So I thought that was quite nice. And of course, Throat Locust came and did a gig on the Sunday then in the Motor House. It
Few
was
sore heads, but
attended by a few folk with hangovers, right enough. But there was a couple of folk that obviously hadn't been invited to the party or weren't aware of them that came down to see. Your friend Ryan came down, and I think he was quite impressed with them, wasn't he?
yeah.
No, it was a good night, right enough.
And what else has been going on?
I went to see the Big C Walps in the Ola on Friday the 16th of February, and they were really good. It started off quite quiet because it's the middle of February, and I was quite surprised that there was even gigs on around then. But there was a few folk in sort of having their dinner and whatnot, and sort of walked in, and the band were just kind of setting up and whatnot. And by the time they started playing, a few more folk had obviously heard there was a band on and come in. And they decided that they were going to have a what was it? A dancing contest.
Oh.
So they had a bottle of gin. Will I give them advertising? Why not?
Go on.
Guinness gin.
Oh, right, okay.
A bottle of sea glass. For the best dancer, so they were obviously just trying to get people up and going,
Yeah.
which is
And did it work?
Well, it did, yeah. But sort of throughout the night, people started to leave, and there was folk coming in and coming out, and I think there was a group of girls that were dancing most of the night, and one or two of them easily could have won it, but like 12:15 or something, they all left, so...
Oh.
I think they actually ended up giving it to their photographer. Jamie Anderson had a personal photographer with him who was... I was a bit confused by it.
He's moving up in the world, eh?
Yeah.
He's got his own prize.
Of course, that was one of his first gigs with them.
Yeah, because he did the Sands gig right enough just before Christmas, but he's not done too many more, I remember Roger and Mitch saying when they were here last. So.
Yeah. He's improved them tenfold. He just sits and sort of jams in the background and takes over all the lead parts, and
yeah, it gives him an extra dimension, doesn't it? Yeah.
And makes a huge difference. Like, it's really good. I mean, you know him very well, of course, Walter, and you know how good he is.
Totally. He's off to America again at the end of the month, I believe, mine.
Was it end of the month?
Yeah,
right.
back over to Nashville.
Yeah.
It's always going to improve you into going away and playing with different musicians.
Absolutely.
And getting, something always rubs off on you when you're playing with a different band, different musicians, and especially the scene over there. It's the place to be for any live music, I think, isn't it? Of all kinds.
And did they do any other original stuff that night, or was it just cover stuff?
Well, I asked them in an interview we'll listen to in a minute, but no, they didn't. And it was kind of a shame, because we'd been talking about it on the podcast last time, and I'd hope maybe they would be... Like, 'cause their original music's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good catchy stuff.
It really is, and well, they told me at the time that they just didn't think that the crowd was the right kind of crowd for it.
Well, that's maybe fair enough as well. Yeah,
But
you've got to gauge it that way. So
the way we were talking, the Orkney crowd is an original crowd at the minute. So
it's a shame things are like that. I mean, it would be really good, and that was one of the comments that we had on our thing on Facebook about things to say at the podcast, was that there is a distinct lack of original material coming in at the moment. So that's something that could be picked up on and run with by various bands, I think.
Yeah,
so.
hopefully.
It's being brave enough to play your stuff.
Yeah.
It is. You're opening yourself out to criticism, I suppose, and it's your personal...
Well, it was like the Big Sea Wallop guy said the last time as well, that there's a lot of folk that are sitting playing in their bedrooms, but they'll never ever take it outside of that. So
yeah,
there's probably a lot of songs being written that haven't been heard as well.
Yeah.
You ever done original stuff, Walt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Recorded some years ago, but it's still there on the archive somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's like Christian says, you're just opening yourself up. Have you got the guts to go out there and just do your own thing rather than playing covers? I mean, your Friday night, Saturday night will tolerate covers, but generally folk are out to hear things they know and have a good time.
Play something we all can.
Aye, play something we can.
Yeah.
Again, whether that's like you get hen parties and one thing and another, I don't want to hear you singing something that you wrote yourself in the bedroom, really.
That's true, yeah.
Unless it's catchy and it's something they think they can.
Yeah. Well, there's a group of girls behind me at the Big Sea Wallop's gig that were all having a knitter to each other, going, "Oh, go and ask them to play this, go and ask them to play that." And I'm like, don't go and ask them to play anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the end of the day, the pubs are your employer for the evening, and your role is to bring people in or keep people there.
Yeah.
So if you actually do the alternative and drive people away, you're hardly going to get a second gig in that establishment, are you?
That is true. Anyway, I caught up with Roger and Jamie afterwards to see what they were thinking. Okay, I'm here with Roger and Jamie from the Big Sea Wallop's. And how do you think that went tonight?
It was a cracker, actually. It was first proper gig with Jamie on guitar, and he totally blasted out as we expected.
He did, it was good, mate.
He did.
How did you find it?
It was really fun. The guys are good fun, and I enjoy it.
So you had a gin competition tonight. Who won that? And tell me a little bit about
Well,
that.
there you go. You see, that Yeah, it's probably going to be this lassie here, actually.
Is this your photographer, Jimmy?
It's my personal photographer, indeed. Yes. She wins the competition because she took loads of good photos of me, and I'm sure I looked very attractive in all of them. So, yeah. There she goes.
Awesome.
Thank you, LK. Shout
So,
out.
so what's coming up next for you guys?
We've got a live lounge with yourself probably involved, Orkney, in the Radio Orkney. That's going to be Monday after next, certainly.
Yeah.
So we've got a bit of practicing to do, so we're going to be doing some original stuff that night, which we didn't do tonight.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. You didn't play any of your own original music. Why was that?
Well, we failed again miserably. It's just when you're playing to a live crowd, you tend to think you've got to please them, you've got to play something that they know, and but we should have done it. I mean, everybody says play your own stuff, and we should have done it. We're actually, Jimmy's rehearsed the latest One Man Down. That's the main reason we got Jimmy in, and he's vamped up Watch You Burn, which is our title track to the last album.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that in the live lounge, so you'll catch it then.
What song went down the best tonight then?
Sweet Home Chicago was a bit of a cracker, I would say. That was quite good. But then towards the end, that Hey Joe, was there something kind of special going on there?
Well, that's why you brought me in, isn't it? That's why you brought me in.
Well, yeah, as it turned out, yeah, that was actually the bluesy stuff is working really well, and they call me the breeze is vamped up a good deal with Jimmy adding in a bit of licks in there.
Yeah.
It's helping, yeah. But I'm not going to say too much more about Jimmy's just starting to get excited. He's got to be tuned in there, again.
Yeah, thank you.
So you got any gigs coming up shortly, or
The next gig, we've got a few parties. So we've got a party in the sailing club, so I like private stuff. We've not got any pub gigs, so we'll sort something out. We'll speak to Croman and get a Torvo gig sorted out. I'd imagine that'll be the next thing.
awesome? Yeah. Okay, well, cheers for that. Thank you very much.
No worries.
So we're coming up to the closing date for the applications for the Rock Festival. That happens on, I think it's Wednesday night, is it the 28th?
Yeah, Wednesday night. I think that's like for visiting bands.
Yeah. So anybody out with Orkney that's wanting to apply to play for the Rock Festival, whether it be from the north or from the south, they're more than welcome to get in touch. Send us an email to the Orkney Rock Festival at yahoo.co.uk email with a short biography and a photo or two and some links to some of the music. We've already had an overwhelming amount of bands applying. We've had about 30 applicants already, and I mean there's still folk applying today, so it's going to be quite interesting, the selection process, I think. So
It's going to be fun.
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, because we've organised a group night, haven't we, for the committee to get together so that we can have a sort of a Eurovision style selection process for it, I think. So that'll be a good laugh. So.
Still to consider the youth side of things maybe as well, Claire.
Yes.
If you mind on, I was thinking that perhaps we could hold some sort of competition for young bands from as far north as Shetland, I guess, and as far south as maybe Dornoch.
Yeah.
And get them to send in a sample of their music, and if we think, who's the best of the bunch,
Yeah.
they'll win, and we'll invite them up to play, even for one night, maybe even on Saturday night or the finale or something like that.
Because this year, 2018, is Scotland's Year of Youth as
That's
well.
right, the Year of Young
So-
People, yeah. So I think that would tie in quite nicely.
It would be nice to see some of the younger bands, up-and-coming bands, get more involved in the public scene as well, rather than just the school scene. I know Stromness Academy do their own battle of bands, but it would be nice to sort of spread that out wider.
Yeah. But I don't think many of the younger bands are coming to your attention these days.
No, maybe we're just too old, Walter.
Perhaps. Well, I mean, in the past we've ran,
Yeah.
band nights and things where we've actually managed to pay them to come along and perform, maybe at the youth cafe and such things. And of course we did rock schools years ago as well out in Westray, Sandy and Stronsay, etc. And again, that kind of encouraging people away from the more traditional music into the
Yeah, and
contemporary music scene, if you like.
we're not. I mean, it's not just pub gigs as well. That's what we see at our age group, I suppose, but we're not seeing the wider picture,
Totally.
as you say, of the youth cafe and the Isles gigs and things like that. So yeah,
And a lot of the young folk out in the Isles, aren't they getting access to contemporary music and contemporary instruments like bass guitar,
or even
lead
teaching.
guitar and drums, yeah. Songwriting, vocal coaching, that kind of way.
Yeah,
So in some respects, a lot of people not know they've got a talent. So when you're taking out the rock school to them, they're getting about half an hour
yeah.
to try everything
That's
out.
something we've spoken about since we started Livewire. We've not actually
That's
done
right.
anything about it, but yeah, we do. I think we should pull our fingers out a bit and get on it. I think so.
This would be the year to do it, yeah, if we can, certainly, and show willing to become involved in the year of young people.
If anybody's wanting to get involved and help us out with that, then get in touch.
Yeah, especially if you're on Niles as well, you might be, you'll have access to an instrument if you're a musician, not just even want to know how to access community funds, and give us a shout. And we certainly, it's not a kind of thing you'd charge money for, but you'd want your fare paid for maybe, and just get out there and, like you said, well, the kids in the school plus adults in Isles, you're never too old to pick up a guitar or drumsticks.
Yep.
But like you said, visiting bands obviously we have to apply. You can't just take everyone up here, but we won't turn away local bands, any local bands,
No.
or musician, or
Yeah, local bands can get in touch with us at any point between now and the festival. Probably, maybe not right up until the last day before the festival, but like
No, if you want the programme anyway.
that has proved a bit tricky in the past, folk getting in touch a few days before, but certainly up until probably the end of July at least, at the latest. Get in touch if you want to play at the festival, if you're a local act. We will probably offer you the pub slots. Seem to be quite popular. It's a way of getting yourselves out of there. You don't have to just play original music, you can play covers as well, but original stuff would be good. But yeah, we're more than happy to see anybody that wants to play, and you don't just have to be rock music either. Rock Festival in the last couple of years have prided ourselves on opening up to pretty much any genre. Explain to us what we've got.
well, yeah, obviously being Orkney and where we are, we get a lot of folk musicians, and so we usually have a kind of quieter, folkier, acousticy session in the.
It works quite well when you've got a hangover as well.
Yeah, ease yourself in the afternoon, have an aperitif. No, an aperitif, a hair of the dog.
I think that's fair enough, though. It's primarily a rock festival, and it's there to promote rock music.
Yeah.
But we're giving everybody an opportunity. And if you want to provide a whole weekend of music, then I think that's a necessary thing to do
you
as
have
well.
to
It's a
split
music
it.
festival, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and it covers everything from pop right through to death metal,
Yeah.
grime, grunge, whatever. So yeah.
The minute we're overrun with grime and rock bands, we'll perhaps consider it just to be solely a rock festival.
Yes, exactly.
But they're not crawling out the woodwork every 5 minutes, are they?
Really, last year on the Friday night was really just kind of what the Motorhouse was, sort of like a blues club.
That was brilliant. We had the Buddies Blues Club that night in there,
and
and
Ian
it was
Cooper
brilliant.
finished off the night playing his brand of Cream and Hendrix. It was really good. It's just a nice atmosphere in there, and then they finished at sort of 11 o'clock or something, and then we could run over and catch the finishing acts in the other pubs. It was really good. Yeah. So yeah, not long until that window closes if you're wanting to get your visiting applications in.
Hi there, this is Brother Payne from Evil Scarecrow, and you're listening to the Orkney Live Wire podcast.
Okay, and obviously we've got Walter in the studio here tonight for. We wanted to ask him about the history of the festival, and obviously you two as well. I'm quite new to the fair committee, and I've been doing the sound. I've been going to the gigs and that, but I've not been involved in the sort of committee side of it. So I just thought it'd be interesting to find out how it all began and how it's progressed and how it's got to where it is today.
Well, I think we'll have to go back to before 2003 for that, Scott. I played with Mean Business at the time, and our focus was primarily blues, and that was influenced by John Pettigrew, who played in the band. He's got a pedigree and a background in blues music, and I believe at one point his band had the same manager as the Bay City Rollers, and they toured Germany and such. But anyway, about 2002-03, John, Billy Eunson, Dave Pepper, and Laurie Thompson got together. And there was a blues festival coming up, as was the case at that time. Colin Sinclair was running the blues festival. And so we sent Colin an application and said we'd like to do that. Mainly as a focus for giving ourselves a kick up the arse to get out there and actually play live, because we were playing weekends in Chaplaincy, and you soon run out of pubs to play in Chaplaincy, if you catch my drift. So Colin was delighted to have us across. We went across and we played there. And then the following year, we were invited up to Shetland to play, which is 2004. And Dylan Pepper had joined us by that stage. Had an absolute ball in Shetland. But unfortunately, following that, Colin announced that there would be no more blues festivals. He was giving that up at the time. And, well, that would have been that, I guess. But in conversation with Maureen Herdman, who you all know as Auntie Mo, and Adrian Harry and the Ferry, and the other publicans in Stromness, they wanted to see it keep going. But of course, I didn't have a pedigree in managing blues festivals. I didn't know the first place to start. However, with those kind of people around me, I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a shot. So initially, we got in touch with the bands that I'd met up in Shetland when we played there, and invited them to play in Orkney, and that'd be 2005. It wasn't a perfect festival, let's say, but it ran. The pubs were full. People came to see what was going on. And then after that, we started to get a bit more confident, and we started to build up the bank balance a wee bit, and we were able to approach bands south and then start building it up. But always keeping an eye on the purse and the bank balance, because obviously, you know, you can't just go and pulling in big acts if you don't have the money there to pay them, and you're never sure if the concerts are going to be well attended. And we had come up with a model where we would only charge for the finale, and all the pub gigs would be free, which is maintained to this day. And in some respects, I guess that it kind of holds back your ability to grow. But then you've got to decide if you want it to grow. It's a Cinderella festival, but it's that or Donington. Do you know what I mean? Do you want the big thing where you've got big overheads, you've got to find big money, and then it's no longer
grassroots,
a group of and blues or rock fans that are running it, who have a passion for it. It becomes a festival, and perhaps with somebody that's paid either 17.5 or 37, whatever, to do all the management of that for you.
It becomes a business, doesn't it?
It becomes essentially a business, Coop, you're right. So we didn't really want that to happen. And then always there was the case that you could make it grow big enough to come to Kirkwall and go elsewhere. And I thought, well, no.
Yeah.
It's a Stromness festival. It's something in the Stromness calendar, and it's now a permanent feature. It's just there, and people expect that to happen. And I'm pleased about that, because I know Jimmy Carlisle very well. Jimmy runs the Shetland Blues Festival, and just a couple of years ago, Jimmy said they need to put the Shetland one on hold, and I think that was primarily due to funding issues and the cost of venues up there in Shetland. So you're always you're always watching the pennies. But
I remember attending some of the second generation blues festival in Stromness, sort of obviously 10-15 years ago now nearly, and it was like you say, it was a good day out, and it was a nice change to have something in Stromness at that time, because everything was focused in Kirkwall, so it was quite nice just to go through for that. So often you didn't know who you were going through to see, but you just dilded around the pubs throughout the day, found something you wanted to watch, settled your shell in with a pint, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think at that time of year, I mean, it's always been the third week in September up to now, and for Marcus is running the show now and doing really well. So he may change that, but we always ran it the third week of September, and that's the time of year when the hotels would be mothballed, if you like, you know, maybe just
end of season,
like the Stromness Hotel with the flatties open and top ends shut down, and the pubs are starting to get quiet and maybe thinking about laying off staff for the winter. So you're carrying that on a bit further, and you're bringing income into the businesses right along Stromness, and I think they're grateful for that, and that has been expressed, particularly to Maureen Herdman, who's a resident in Stromness this weekend. Maureen's come back with really good feedback on numerous occasions from businesses in Stromness that are just thankful that it's still going on. So all good from that point of view.
It's a nice setup. Like all the pubs are basically next door to each other, so you You can go to one pub and 30 seconds walk, you're in a completely different atmosphere, different band. It's just
That's
perfect,
right.
it's
If
lovely.
you're not enjoying, well, if you don't particularly like that style in one pub, you've got an opportunity to go to one or two others. And there was always that kind of half-hour window that gave you the option to do that. Having that staggered timetable, you can pop along and do that. Issue for me always was sound, was getting enough people that were able to provide sound for each venue.
Yeah.
But I think, again, that's starting to come out now, and I think Marcus has got a handle on that. So it's good to see the last couple of years that there has been more input from local sound engineers to make that happen, because, as you know, the quality of sound in any of these places is crucial
Yeah.
to folk not covering their lugs and running out the door.
And you can't expect a band to work with their own sound desk. It's,
No, and then you've got bands coming up from south
yeah.
who used to have
semi-professional or professional.
a
yeah.
level of, experience in any sound man, and a good sound coming back from what they're pumping out. So I think that's essential now.
And you do rely on. I mean, you've got 4 or 5 PAs to be set up over the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Constantly running. So it's a
Yeah,
lot
so
of-
always it's been the case
lot
that
of
Thursday
equipment.
morning, Thursday afternoon sometimes, at the latest Friday morning, setting up the 4 or 5 PA systems that are required in all of the venues and making that work. But again, harking back to the last couple of years, Marcus has pulled in Eddie to set up in the Stromness Hotel. So that's taken a bit of pressure off. So that's one person. It's costing more, but
Yeah.
it's taken the strain off the other sound men, so we can rely on them in the other 3 venues, which has tended to be the Ferry Inn, Kirkwall, what? Where are you, by? Which has tended to be the Stromness Hotel,
The Royal.
the Royal, and the Ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause he used to have Colin Drever. He was taken out of the game the whole of Sunday because he had him setting up the finale.
Yeah, and it was a
whole
lot of
day.
hard work for Colin. It certainly was. I mean, he put in a heck of a lot of time over the whole weekend. So again, that kind of taking that off on a Sunday, that's taking the pressure off whoever's running the show for the sound men.
So you were the chairperson for 10 years, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would have been your highlights? What were the favourite acts that you had up over that time? Or what were the low points even?
I think it's the ones we invited back. I mean, that's a hard one to call, because always with that whole weekend thing, you've got them arriving on a Thursday night or a Friday, and they're here to the Sunday. So by the Sunday, to them, Orkney's
It's family.
It's the best. It is. It is, and you maintain friendships and relationships that have gone on for that entire 10 years, and people getting in touch and we'd love to come back if you'll have us, So I guess the likes of Northside are a good example of that. Paul Rose and Paddy Maguire,
Yeah.
who've really taken to Orkney and to Orkney folk
Just love it.
and the people that they meet, and I guess the kind of ambience of the place and Stromness.
Yeah.
It's that. Is it intimate? Can you
Well,
call it an intimate atmosphere?
definitely.
I think it is, yeah. And with them playing the pub gigs and then just mingling around with the people or the punters in general, you don't know. I mean, to walk into a place, you don't know who's been performing, who's not been performing when they're sitting with a pint.
No, that's absolutely.
And it's
right.
quite nice that. Like you say, it's a nice ambience to have. So
Somebody once called it Britain's smallest, friendliest blues festival. I can run with that. I mean, that does give you a good handle on what it's all about. So.
And as you said, now Marcus has taken over, Marcus
Yeah.
Cordick. He's taken over the chairperson's job of it.
Yeah.
You still have a lot of supporting background in that, do you?
Oh, I'm there to help when needed, but I'm certainly nowhere near the front of the queue now.
Yes.
It's actually Graham Bevan, it's the chair. Marcus is, you would call the director.
Director, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Graham chairs the meetings and makes sure they flow and that we keep to track on the agendas and stuff.
Right.
And I think every committee needs one of
Needs
them.
one, definitely, yeah.
That'd be good, yeah.
Do you think we
Yeah,
could
no,
borrow
Graham-
him for our one?
Graham's great at chairing things. I mean, the director's job is to kind of pull everything else together. Who's being in touch with the bands and maybe organising the sound engineers and making sure everybody gets paid. That Maureen's happy,
Yeah.
So you've got an unhappy Maureen, you don't want to be in Stromness.
I see the secretaries are often the most important person in it.
Secretaries and treasurers,
Treasurers.
Yes,
that's what you want.
that's
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's so they would be. I mean, there's been many highlights. The jam sessions
Yeah.
are legendary on the Sunday night when everything's finished and all the gigs
after
have-
party. Yeah.
Yeah, and we always left things to be torn down on the Monday because generally it's a chance for all the local acts and the visiting acts
And the
to
sound guys
jam
and everybody.
play
Yeah.
and just
Just
before
get
they
stuck in
finally
with
go
each
in the
other.
next day back home again, just
Yeah.
have a bit of time together and a bit of a yarn and a bit of
Sometimes there's no much sleep between
there's no
before they catch the boat at 11 o'clock the next morning.
yeah, and Colin Drever doesn't help with his homebrew in his Highland Park.
After 3 days of drinking and then you go into Colin's homebrew, it's never a good plan.
No, it's
Well,
not.
it's a good plan at the time, but
And he's notorious for that as well. But yeah, no, those Sunday nights, they'll stay with me a long time. I think I aged 5 years at each one. I'm
That's
really
where
just,
the hair went.
I'm
so-
really just 40 as well.
Yeah.
But no.
So obviously, leading on from the Blues Festival, you came and joined in with the Orkney Rock Festival, the Orkney Live Wire crew. How did the Orkney Live Wire come about, or how did the Rock Festival come about in the first place?
The seed, I think, was planted in Christian's head many, many years ago. I would imagine, but it was one night I recall an after pub party in St Catherine's Place, and I didn't really know Christian back then at that point. I had seen him about and say hello and that, and at the Blues Festival and things, and we just found ourselves sat together with a tinny, having a yarn. And Christian was saying, "Oh, you've been doing a Blues Festival and things." No, that's right, nothing. So I quite like to run a rock festival in Kirkwall, and I think I'd say to him, "Well, what's stopping you?" Oh, true that. And then we kind of started talking about that. It'd been a wee group of us who'd got together
Yeah.
and kind of planned it and then just tried it. And as I say, it wasn't perfect.
No.
It wasn't perfect when I started and it wasn't perfect when I finished. But in between times, there were lots of good times to be had. So I think, would I be right in saying, Christian, that the Rock Festival started in a similar way? Were you pulling folk in that were interested in doing something there?
pretty much, yeah. Like I said, Blues Festival's also one of my favourite weekends of the year. Going through there and just, like you say, having a beer, walking around the pubs, music coming out of every venue, and fancied doing a similar thing in Kirkwall. But yeah, definitely. I think I just did I put a notice on Facebook or something to say?
No, well, we did the Philippines gigs initially.
We did the Philippines gigs, yeah. I think that's what gave us the sort of confidence that we could do
Yeah.
it again, because after the...
Because it was us three, it was Walter, myself, Christian, and we roped in Fiona and Smid
Yeah,
to give us a hand, and you shouted on a few extra folk.
yeah. And then, yeah, so we had basically 2 gigs over December after the Philippines disaster.
In 2013, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, would have been. And then we got, Monty...
We did the Bury stage in
yeah,
the... Yes,
Douglas Montgomery did
for the second one.
did a lot of
yeah.
organising for the second one and had 2 stages. And we started really saying, yeah, we can maybe pull this together in a sort of festival format. So I think that's kind of, like you said, that's what gave us the
Kick up the backside.
kick up the arse and just the confidence to go and try
Yeah.
it.
Okay, I think you've got to suck it and see it and just see how things take off and
Yeah.
see whether there's an interest. And you've certainly proven that there is an interest, not only from the Orkney public to come along and listen, but for the local pubs and hotels
Yeah.
to become involved. And again, it's a time of year where it's starting to, that's the summer over and
Yeah, everything's winding down.
we're coming into
It
winter.
just gives you a final blast
Yeah, absolutely.
before the summer finishes. I think we kind of, that's when I sort of put something on social
you-
media and said,
Yeah, well, you gave me a shout and Will a shout, I think
Yeah.
it was, wasn't it? A text and asked if we want to be involved, and then you put a thing on
yeah, anyone else,
Facebook. A couple of months into 2014.
yeah, anyone else want to be involved, come to the Motor House on Friday night, whatever night it was. And we
Yeah.
ended up with a group of us, and then I remember, like, even Ed and Charlotte, they were just in for a drink.
Yeah, I just went
And
over and
they're like,
grabbed them. Right, come and sit down.
What are you up to? We're
Yeah.
organising a rock festival, fancy it? Yeah,
Pulled
okay.
in Tess and Walter, you came down.
Yeah.
Because it was you, me, Will, Maggie, Smid, Fiona, Christian, Ed and Charlotte, I think, and Tess were the original ones at that meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds about right.
I'll have
So
to check back in the minutes. But yeah, that was the June that we had our first meeting. And we planned it for the first weekend in September. So we literally had 6 weeks to pull the whole thing off, and we did it.
Yeah.
I think we were absolutely gobsmacked by ourselves how we managed it. And I mean, we pulled in favours for folk. Well, we had Will, who had knowledge of all the bands. I don't know if you knew Will particularly well then.
Not really, no.
But-
I mean, I just knew him for around as well.
Yeah.
At gigs, but didn't know him that well.
And yourself
He's-
as well, Walter. You knew quite a lot.
Yeah, we're all we're all involved in the music scene around, and we're kind of
Yeah,
aware of each other, but no kind of working with each other.
yeah.
So from that point of view, it's one of those. So it's like a social thing as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? Really.
Plus, he had like what Will was, so had really to get a visiting act, something that wasn't played in the pubs every weekend, and so Eric Grieve with Metal Tech.
Yeah, obviously had the
He's-
Orkney connection himself. So.
Yeah, so they sort of headlined the first one on the Saturday night,
Yep.
and it's something completely different. I mean, that's kind of industrial music with theatrics as well.
And he had never played Orkney before either, and he said he was quite delighted to be asked to come up and
Yeah.
do that. So,
Yeah.
and the format that we used, we borrowed it from the Blues Festival after taking advice from Walter, with the general pub gigs and having. But we'd organised the 2-ticketed events. We did the Saturday and the Sunday that first year.
Yeah, the first couple of years was two ticketed events. It kind of, I think we decided it was a lot to organise,
Yeah.
especially 2 different venues. So we just, now it's just the one ticketed event, the one main event,
Yeah.
and the pub gigs all around either side of it, so it works well. And yeah, the first year then as well, we had the Silver Penguins sort of reunion on,
Yep,
on the
and
Sunday night.
Did we not have, was it Bad Dog or something
Yeah,
as
it was
well?
Bad Dog, yeah.
And we had Stone Death up from Edinburgh, your friend Dan, and
Yep.
we had the First Foot Soldiers down from Shetland.
Uh-huh.
So it worked out really well.
It did. It was a brilliant weekend.
Yeah. And the support that we had from the local bands was phenomenal, because there was nothing like that in Kirkwall. So, and I think everybody was needing something like that, and particularly at that time of year as well. The shows had just finished. It was before the Blues Festival. But yeah, we were needing something just to give us a bit of a lilt. It was just as schools went back, so yeah, it was quite a good timing for it.
I remember the sort of start of Sunday gigs, and folk was kind of crawling out of the woodwork, and it was a bit quiet today, and you could just see everyone was just so hungover and are just coming straight from a party. And
Yep.
it was like the night of the living dead. I thought, Christ, what have we started? It was like
It
we've
was
destroyed
quite-
so many people.
It was quite funny because we'd actually sold out both gigs, the Saturday and the Sunday, but only half the capacity turned up on the Sunday because nobody else could make it. It was quite a wild and windy night, right
It
enough
was,
that night,
yeah.
and we were upstairs in the sailing club. But yeah, no, I mean the gig itself was brilliant. I do remember that much. It was good. The Saturday night we held. Where was
It
that?
was in Matchmakers.
It was Matchmakers,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah. So it was the two separate venues. We figured the smaller venue for the Sunday night would be better, and it worked quite nicely. It did work quite nice. Although it was just the bar downstairs. I didn't have an upstairs bar that time, I don't think.
That's right, yeah. The music was upstairs, but the bar was open downstairs. You kind of lost people halfway in between
Yeah.
sometimes. But it was a good night. Yeah, everyone was jumping up. Everybody was upstairs was jumping up and down, dancing.
Yeah.
That's on that bouncy floor.
It was a great atmosphere, and we had a lot of folk then that said, they would love to come back to it. So
Yeah.
I think where the blues festivals benefited from the rock festival is that you've got the same crew running about now, and
Yeah.
the blues festival crew will come through and help it with that, and the rock festival crew will go and help with
ties
that.
in quite nicely that
It
way.
does,
Yeah.
and even the bands as well. you
Yeah.
know. It's kind of like what he wants to play twice.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a struggle this last couple of years for some of the bands
yeah.
because it was so close together.
That's right.
So, but I think Marcus has announced that the Blues
Yes,
Festivals
in the
move into
October.
the last weekend of September.
That's exactly what
Yep.
it is, yeah. Mhm.
So that gives folk a few weeks rest at least, and the sound guys and everything as well.
Yeah.
So obviously
absolutely.
they are very close together.
Yeah.
How did that come about in the first place?
Well, I think it was basically because, like you said, we just started organising it at the start of summer.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing. It's either we do it right at the start of summer before everyone gets busy, or do it at the end of summer before the students. You
It
know,
was
you
trying
want to
to
get the students.
Finding a
Trying to
small
fit a
weekend
date
was
that
nothing
everybody was available as well out of
Yeah.
the chosen group
Yeah.
because everybody had trips away, festivals that we were going to, bike rallies that we were, just various different things. So
Plus Orkney's calendar. I mean, Orkney must have the most festivals of anywhere.
yeah, because we were trying to plan
In
it
the
around
UK.
the shows as well. You couldn't book it obviously the same weekend as County Show or the weekend after. There was obviously all the run up to County Show and shopping week and everything before that. So, it made it harder to try and find a free weekend for that fitted in with everything. So
It does coincide usually with the Orkney Bible Festival.
Science Festival as well.
Yeah.
It's changed last year.
Yeah. So a lot of Jesus lookalikes going about, myself included.
That's good though. I like it. You look forward to that time of year because you get all that music in the 1 month, or in 2 weeks even sometimes.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, we've got folk that come up for the bike rally at the end of August, the one out in Sandwick, and then they stay for the week to come and either help out or come and see the rock festival. Some of them will maybe come back up again for the blues festival then. So, it's quite good.
Yeah.
Blues Festival's always had that. It's just once a year it'll turn up in Stromness and you see faces, not for Orkney, they're for
But you
you've got
think, yeah.
Peterhead, Aberdeen,
Peterhead, you've got
Yeah.
your...
Caithness.
Yeah.
A lot of people from that area, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Stromness turns into that place.
It's almost a comforting thing. You get off the bus and you see, I've not seen him for 12 months.
Uh-huh.
And we always get we normally get an appearance from the bikers.
Yeah.
What are they called again?
There's the Lycan clan, they've come up the last couple of years, and there's the bunch from Norway that have been over twice.
Brothers in
the
Arms.
ex-army boys, what are they?
Oh, the Brothers in Arms,
Brothers-
yeah.
The Brothers
they've
in
come up.
Arms, yeah.
Yeah, because Paul Sambrook used to run the Saturday afternoon bike show.
That's right.
That was right. Sam's moved away now,
He
so I
has
don't know if
indeed,
that's
so that'll be
gonna
a miss.
go ahead.
It would be nice if somebody could, though.
There was a
Claire.
few of us that did speak about it, possibly reviving that. We did mention it to Marcus as well, so me and Smid are going to unfortunately be away this year because Loopaloo is the same weekend as the Blues Festival, so we won't be here, so we probably wouldn't have the time to organise something like that. But if anybody else out of the biking community wanted to pick up and run with that, then I'm sure they'd be welcome to.
Used to raise a bit of money for the Poppy Appeal as well.
Yeah,
That's
it did,
right.
yeah.
And
That's
it
kind of the
does-
main idea.
Yeah. And that's one of the other benefits of the Blues Festival, I guess, was that the British Legion in Stromness came on board as a potential venue.
Yeah.
And I think that's proven really useful for them too, as a means of making an income
Yeah.
over and above what they get from their general
Subscriptions and things. Yeah.
clientele during the week. Yeah.
I mean, I doubt the Stromness Legion would have expected to have this sort of hybrid constellation playing on a normal Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely.
That was a brilliant gig. That really was. That was completely through the whole thing. So.
I remember going and thinking, they're playing a blues festival. I'd like to see Hybrid Constellations blues set. It wasn't blues,
No, it was not.
but it was equally enjoyable.
So obviously the first year was organised very quickly and you sort of seemed to get through. Was there any difficulties in getting that done in the six weeks you can remember?
No.
Is it just
Panic.
I think the only thing that went wrong was it Jamie's amp blew up?
Yeah, Jamie's...
That I think-
happens every gig.
Jamie's
Yeah,
amp.
literally every year.
Every year, no,
but
but I think
that was literally the only thing that went wrong, that whole thing. Everything went smoothly. We organised a raffle, we got all the bands together, we got accommodation for everybody, and it just worked.
Yeah, I think because it was such a new thing, everyone was so keen to help out. Like
Yeah.
you say, every band and musician was like, yeah, use our drum kit, use our amp, whatever,
And
just
we
to
had-
get it going.
Kerry Cooper from Cooper Creations, she did our logo and everything for
Yeah.
us, so we got that on tick, so we paid that on after the festival. There was quite a few favours that we pulled in.
Yeah.
Christian had made up a whole lot of flyers, so we had a bit of an excess of flyers, so we made up a dress to go in Groove's window, which was our promotion, I suppose. So we just made up things as we went along. So
I still have about 1,000 of that flyer from year one in a box. I can't
how
bring
many
myself to
t-shirts have you
dump.
got in boxes?
we
Most
threw
of them
most
are
of
gone.
them out into the crowds.
We had a... No, but yeah, but like you say, pulled in a lot of favours, and we still do have to rely on
Yeah.
people like yourself, Scott, coming in and doing the sound. And
We're largely self-funding, but we are self-funding. We don't receive any funding as yet from any external bodies. We have spoken about it, but we've just not gotten ourselves together to do that. So the fact that we've managed to successfully host 4 festivals with no external funding is probably quite a feat in itself. So.
yeah.
Did I hear on Radio Orkney recently that the Festivals Forum has restarted?
Oh,
I think that maybe it was last Wednesday, maybe. Now that's sort of like pulling together each of the festivals to work collectively.
Yeah.
Now, that could be to fund
Something, yeah.
a large PA system.
Be worth looking into, yeah.
It is, yeah. I'll maybe have a
You can task with that one.
find out who it is that's doing that. It did exist for a while before.
Yeah,
It didn't seem to run for very long, but it's certainly up and running again, to my knowledge.
Good stuff.
So the first year obviously went well then.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
The second year then, did you obviously learned a lot from the first year and all the planning and
I don't
things like
think we
that.
learnt anything from the first year. We just winged it. So.
How did those two compare? How was it much improved? Did you learn that much?
The feedback was quite. A few folks say that was noticeably better organised, noticeably up a level on
Which is no
professional.
surprise given.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but-
Certainly there was some folk that said that they would never have noticed that it was our first festival the first year.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, we certainly got really good
Yeah.
feedback from the first festival.
It was harder to organise the second one because we had longer to do it in.
Right, yeah.
And we were trying to organise regular committee meetings and get everybody together at the same time.
It's a wee bit of pressure because we got such good feedback
Yeah.
from the first one as well. It's like, right, the first one, it didn't, it wasn't really going to fail. We didn't know what to expect,
Yeah.
but everyone had such a good weekend. And then the second year was like, well, we're going to have to do this right this time and make sure it runs as last time. And I think we did pull it off. Well, we did.
We did,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, like I say, it was a bit harder to try and do. And then you're getting into the realms of that we're going to have to start trying to fundraise some money to pay for things, have money in the pot beforehand rather than waiting to pay for it afterwards. And as Walter said about, not exceeding your own limits, as they did with the blues. Well, they didn't do with the blues festival, but trying to keep your reins on the purses,
Yeah.
not just right. We want that act. We'll just get that act, spend that amount of money on it, and end up with nothing for anything else.
Yeah.
Then so. We did have, I think, the second year there was one act that was maybe a bit problematic, but everything else went reasonably well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so indeed. There was never any real problems. Just,
It was just a few drama queens.
just divas. That's all it is. But
yeah.
Do we name and shame or?
Nah, we don't bother with that. People that was at the gigs knew.
Yeah.
No, it was, it's just rock and roll.
Yeah.
We had the second year, we had the Matchmakers gig, and then as a main event, and then on the Sunday we had it upstairs in Fusion,
That's right. Yeah.
and it worked really well as well.
Fusion was a nice venue for that, actually. It was-
Fire Lounge, I suppose it's called.
Yeah. It was a good venue for that. It was quite, again, intimate.
Yeah.
So it was quite nice.
That was sort of like the finale
Yeah.
sort of thing. So obviously Saturday's going to be busier because folk have work on the Monday and not everyone's going to take Monday off for it. So
Yeah.
you want your main sort of show to be on the Saturday,
Yeah.
and then the Sunday is, I guess, a finale in itself. Is it? How did that work out? I don't know what I'm trying to ask here.
But the Sunday night we had, was it Electric Mother?
No, but Sunday was was that Fat Elvis?
Oh yeah, Fat Elvis, right enough, and
Broken Ravens.
Broken Ravens. Yeah, they played the Sunday night. I'm sure Electric Mother played earlier that night as well.
I think you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Electric Mother.
Electric
maybe
Mother
opened up.
had opened the very first festival for us. They were a brand new band, so they opened the Friday night of Festival 1. So to have them on the main stage for the finale was quite a big thing for them and for us as well. That it was kind of like watching your children grow up, get ready to leave home, just about to fire them out the door. So it was quite nice. And I think they've made some good friendships out of it. They got good contacts out of working with the Broken Ravens out of
Yeah,
that.
they're
so.
still in contact with them and
Yeah.
bounce off each other a bit. Did they play? They played with them since. They keep saying as well they're going to come up, and Broken Ravens want to come back and do a wee tour of the north of Scotland and Orkney and use Electric Mother as well, or use each other, tour together. So, but I was just speaking to Kevin at the Broken Ravens. They're away over to LA to record their next. Is it an album or an EP?
Yeah.
But they're doing a few gigs over in LA as well. So they're doing well. But no, yeah, that
Sunday night was good.
you get your Sunday crowd and Saturday crowd.
Yeah, the
different.
professional drinkers on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's just the folk that can last the 3 days.
It's a survivor sessions, I think we've started calling it now. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been pretty good. But yeah, I think after that year we decided not to have a finale gig on the Sunday and have the main event just on the Saturday, just to change the format up slightly, and just so that we were. I mean, obviously we charged for that 2 gigs, and it wasn't really financially viable for us to be putting on the Sunday night gig as a paid gig because there was still overheads to come out of that. So I think the second year we actually ran at a loss for the whole festival.
Yeah, it really does sort of balance on a knife edge, really. Sometimes it's a loss, sometimes it makes, and sometimes it's just breaks even. You just want, I mean, we're not wanting to make money out of it, we just want to make enough to
Carry
support
on doing
the next year
Yeah.
and book accommodation and book travel and vans and have that confidence that you can continue each year.
So the finale then moved to the Motorhouse, was it?
Yes.
Which was a great idea.
It seems to be working this last
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah, it's usually pretty messy. Come 11 o'clock on a Sunday night in Motorhouse.
It's fine as well. It was Will Scott, who's also on the committee, and just about every band in Orkney in various forms. So, he does a lot. He does our scheduling, organises the bands when they're going to be playing, etc. Because he knows who's in what band, when, where they're going to be at what time, who can help out and do what. Yeah, exactly. So Will organised the schedule for us, and when we all got together, we discussed the Sunday night finale. And Will came up with finishing off in the Motorhouse, because that seems to be the place that's the place that we mainly all hang out anyway when we're all together. And that's where we see a lot of the live music. So it was decided to have that there and to finish up around about the 10, 11 o'clock. So it gave you an hour of drinking up time, chilling time, and catching up with folk as well.
Yeah, so as a committee, we don't get much time to.
Well, we never see each other for the whole festival.
Yeah. No,
everybody, because there's so many different venues. We run 6 venues throughout town. We've got the Torvogue, Skippers, the Ola now, Helgies, and the Motorhouse, as well as Matchmakers. So it's quite, as you can imagine, a busy, hectic time for us all.
Absolutely.
And you've got folk running around with buckets collecting money, folk running around with amps, bits of equipment from one place to another, tearing down and setting up.
Picking up bands for
Stromness
or Aberdeen Ferry, wherever they're coming for as well.
Yeah,
so try and welcome the bands, and visiting bands especially. Obviously, you want to.
And then you've got to look after the bands while they're here as well. So if you don't see them during the evening, obviously if they're at their accommodation, but during the day you've got to make sure the bands are in the place where they're meant to be at the time. Make sure that they've been fed, they're not too drunk, that they can go on stage.
That doesn't happen, does it?
Not well, maybe once.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's just keeping an eye on everybody all at the same time. It's juggling balls, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we must enjoy it reasonably, because we keep doing it.
Yeah, I tend not to drink until the Sunday. I can't, because otherwise things would just fall down. So.
No, I know. I was kind of the same this year, but I didn't drink on the Sunday.
But yeah, really enjoying the festival and organising it so far, and looking forward to this year number 5. So.
Yeah, is it going to be a special one?
Hey, we've not actually had a meeting yet to find that out.
Like I say, we've got a lot. This is certainly the biggest by far applications for visiting acts. So, the word's just getting round, because the sort of music scene, even in Scotland, even in the UK, is actually quite small. Folk know each other, they bounce off each other. Mm-hmm. So that, the word's getting round, and it's somewhere kind of a bit different to come to, rather than just a festival in the middle of Glasgow or something.
Now that there's no longer the heavy metal buffet in Shetland, we are technically the most northerly rock festival in Scotland.
True.
As per the Blues Festival as well, right enough. No, but you're right there, Kristen. If you think about a band attending a festival south, you'll roll up an hour before your gig. Mm-hmm. You'll go on, you'll play your gig, and then you'll go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I like, as you said about the Blues Festival as well, a lot of the bands that we've had, or even just the punters that keep coming back, do so because they feel it's like a family. They love it, absolutely love it.
Part of that family.
Yeah, we had the Forgotten Sons last year who came down and played, And then when they'd released an EP in November, they specifically requested to come down and release it here, which I thought was quite a nice touch.
Yeah.
So there's an affection for Orkney and for the festivals that we have. So.
And so, sort of finishing up, how do you see it going in the future? What's the plans for, like, long term? I mean, we're obviously doing it because we love music and not in it for making a business out of it, but do you hope it can just keep going forever?
I don't know. We've not made any long-term plans, have we?
We just keep going.
Winging it each year.
I've always fancied an outdoor stage somewhere.
Yeah.
Sometime, whether it's part of the festival or a standalone gig. Just that risk, Orkney weather. You get a nice night, it'll be the best night ever. If you get cold wind and rain, then it could be a bit of a damp squib. But that's something every time I'm seeing them out driving or walking along the beaches, I'll see a field and think, I wonder who owns that field. That'll be perfect.
Were you ever part of the gig that we did at the skate park?
I wasn't involved with that, no.
Oh, it was Caleb and Marcus when they were a good bit younger. Wanted to do something. I think it was for Click, charity Click.
Click Sergeant.
When they came to see us, myself and Charlotte Millman involved in that. And we got around the weather problem by putting in a trailer at the end of the skate park for the bands to play on. But then, of course, you've got there's a lot that goes along with that. It's not just a case of putting the stage out. I mean, the council will expect you to have in place an event plan, which includes first aid, toilets, to have notified the police, fire brigade, all of that.
Aye.
So it's quite an undertaking to do it outside, but worthwhile. We were lucky that the weather stayed dry and the bands were able to play. In fact, Bad Dog No Biscuit were one of the bands that played that night. However, following day it did deluge, if you like, and they were unable to remove the trailer for 2 weeks afterwards.
Sunk.
Because it was
bogged in.
bogged in, yeah.
You do have to remember to keep putting petrol in your generator or else it could...
No, well, the good thing about the skate park is, if you think about it, it's not that far from the yachting shed, over the Model Yacht Club, and it has power.
All right, you got it.
So we were able to run power to the stage from there.
Oh.
But that all had to be checked by, again, as part of your event plan, an electrician, and then you've got things like egress and access, and egress from the stage using, I think at the time we got metal steps for the old theatre, and we attached that, but it had to be attached properly.
Bolted
it wasn't just
in.
a bit of string that was holding that on.
Can't
And
just
that all
climb
has
up.
to be put in place.
Yeah.
Is it worth the effort? I would say yeah, because I think once you've done an event plan, it's there.
Yeah.
It just needs to be modified or updated along risk assessments, all of that kind of stuff will be in that. So you can take the ones that, so if were we ever think about doing that again, then that paperwork's already been done. You know, some of the work's been done already, and it's not just a guessing game about how that might work.
Aye. Yeah. So did you run that all day? Was that
Yes,
right?
it was in conjunction with a skateboard and BMX competition.
Okay.
So we had competitions and then bands played periodically. And I think the last one was on about 10, 10:30 at night, and that was Bad Dog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And a licence? Could you take your own beer? Is that the idea?
They just took folk just turned up with carryouts, yeah.
Aye.
Pretty much.
Very good. So something to think about for the future.
Well, it is. It's it's
It's doable. It is all doable. It's just having that confidence to say, right, let's go for something different.
getting folk coming up and camping and putting tents round about as well.
Aye. Yep.
No, it was a good day, good night. The boys put a lot of work into it, and making it happen.
Okay, so how do you think last year's rock festival went then? What were some highlights of that?
I think last year was probably our most successful yet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In terms
I would
of
say so.
punters that we had and the bands that we had and the calibre of bands that we had. We had a lot of visiting acts come up.
Yeah. Well, who did we have? We had Iron Altar from Edinburgh. They were awesome.
That obviously contained Daniel Drever from Orkney. So most of the bands that we had last year had an Arcadian link in it somewhere.
Yeah.
Certainly the visiting acts. We had the Trongate Rum Riots who came up.
Yeah.
The Irish let's try and say that on a sober Sunday. But yeah. And we had Fit to Work.
Fit to Work was all expats, Arcadians. and
Yeah,
that.
that's Daniel Firth, Ian Stewart, Harry Giles, and
Duncan.
Harkis.
Harkis.
That's right, yes. So yeah, all expat Arcadians. So that was really good. It was interesting in listening to the interview with Ian that we have about him saying how nervous he was playing in Orkney after not playing for 10 years. It was quite, he's played around in various different bands. He's played in the Phantom Band, he's played in Bronte Skylift, Pictures Trail, but yeah, he's toured around everywhere, and yet he still feels that little bit of nerves coming home and playing in front of his peers. I thought that was quite an interesting point that he took across. So.
Yeah, and they're quite. You're Fit to Work. It's not everyone's taste because it's quite heavy and it
was very heavy, but everybody seemed to enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think they got the biggest response.
Yeah.
So they were on quite early in the set. They were on.
It was a good piece of scheduling by Will Scott.
Got everyone in early because everyone knew them.
Yeah.
And it was certainly energetic.
Yeah. So we have a song of Ian Stewart from Fit to Work. He's in another band I just mentioned, the Phantom Band. So we're just going to play that now, which is Clapshot.
Time to tell and tie your tail. Back a while and watch it sail down in your way, and be gone to the old way. Now and then you see them creep through down a limitless feet. Unremembered things come alive on the cold string. All your forces back and words, one by one with natural law. Deep in wars until we are one in natural law. Then you came to watch you clean, born upon the wrecking wheel, down into your way, and you're tied to the old days. All this war, undoing all we were, blind-blooded and crazed, going down in the old way. All your wars are black and gold, one by one with natural law. All these ones add up to alls, one more one unnatural law. Over the ocean's broiling swell, watched as a sailor swallowed whole, sang to the sea a song of woe, sank as the water called him home. From the void you fought your way up towards the surface air, where breathing again you alive to the old wind. All your
So next up, we're going to have the first interview in hopefully a 4-part series where we speak to each member of the band Fit to Work. All our Orkney lads living away south, and as we were saying, they played a set at last year's Rock Festival. This month we hear from drummer Ian Stewart, who you just heard there playing in the Phantom Band, and the interview was conducted incidentally by his younger brother Andrew, who is a reporter for the Orcadian newspaper and graciously helps the podcast with interviews. So here it is.
Ian Stewart is a Glasgow-based drummer that originally hails from Kirkwall. He spent the last 10 years gigging, writing and recording with a number of different bands, from being a founding member of the two-piece Bronto Skylift, as well as hardcore outfits Citizens and Cutty's Gym, to being adopted by the critically acclaimed Phantom Band, with which he has now written 2 albums. He has managed to establish himself as a versatile and technically proficient drummer in Glasgow's thriving music scene. He also happens to be my older brother. Last year, Ian returned to Orkney to play a home stage gig for the first time in about 10 years, and he did this with a group of his old school friends, who had formed the 4-piece Fit to Work. More recently, he has played as part of Pictish Trail, while they supported Bell and Sebastian on a European tour. I spoke to him about his route through music, his approach to playing with different bands, and what it was like playing in Orkney again after all this time.
I don't know, I guess I just had an interest. In terms of like drums, I vaguely remember like getting the pots and pans out or whatever in the kitchen. Kind of just interested in guitar, and then I think a big thing was when Thomas and Nicholas Perry moved in across the road, and they introduced me to a lot of music, like music I still listen to, like Nirvana, Faith No More, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Mogwai, you know, that was like pretty big. And then I guess there's a kind of like I don't know, you know.
You did start
rebellion.
off with, you started off with guitar though, and then you progressed onto the drums.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I think drums were just more fun, and I think I don't know, just being a part of it is like we had a drum kit in the house, and then I suppose being able to actually like play and not, or like to like practice on the drums and not, well, I just mean like being able to do that, which is maybe not like something that a lot of people would like be able to do in like their house, you know. And then I don't know, everyone just needs a drummer all the time, and I think there's definitely something about like the kind of like playing the drums that's pretty, you know, unique compared to like another instrument, you know. I guess that kind of like physical thing of like hitting stuff is pretty I don't know what the word is, pretty like
Cathartic.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah, I think it's like I've spoken to other people about this, but like I think it's totally weird, or like I can't imagine. I imagine I'd probably be quite different if I didn't do it, you know.
Yeah. So, but you got involved in things like Hattergan and stuff at school, but you.
Well, I just wanted to play, you know. So
yeah.
It was just like a kind of an opportunity to play, and I knew like I wasn't gonna like it's not. I knew it wasn't gonna be like you know, forever or whatever. I knew I was probably gonna move. I think it was just an opportunity to play and to learn, you know, from like Douglas or whatever. You know, like any opportunity, you know, to kind of learn and absorb
did you have a good idea of what kind of path you wanted to move towards in music? You had a kind of certain taste in music when you were younger that maybe didn't resonate with sort of local tastes up here in Orkney.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say that's probably the case wherever you go, you know. Well, I mean, like outside of like cities, and then I think when you are out, especially like in Orkney, and you're like interested in something and it seems so far away, that you get totally like attached to it because it's like your thing, you know, and like especially if like no one else is like into it, it's like totally your thing. And then you know, so I guess that's kind of like what I was like, you know, when I was like 18 or whatever, being into like a lot of like punk and hardcore, kind of the noisier side of music. And then when I moved down and I kind of realised like it wasn't my thing, it was like loads of people's thing, you kind of, I don't know, it was weird. It was like, yeah, I don't know.
You, from kind of your earlier days with Bronto Skylift and then on to Citizens, it was a lot more sort of heavy stuff than you've played in the last few years.
Yeah.
Was that kind of, to me, lined up with your taste in music when you were younger? Was that an avenue you were pushing down? Because you learned quite broadly in terms of the drums. A lot of your earlier reviews talked about sort of jazzy influences in there.
Well, I mean, that was something I kind of always like pushed towards, was like to kind of like learn other stuff, you know, because if you spend all your time learning one thing, that's what you can do, you know. So, and then the other, it's good to like kind of like see things from different perspectives, or the other side of it is like to try and, you know, like, because if it's like, if you're only into one type of music and then that's the type of music you like write as well or play or whatever, it'll be the same ideas like recycled, you know, and it'll just get stale like quickly, and especially when you actually like read about like bands or musicians that have like changed things, you know, there has to be like a kind of like a clean slate where they like put their ideas together, and it might not necessarily be like things that sound like the end product, but then that's what makes it interesting and new, you know. So like, you know, trying to like take ideas from any type of music and put your own twist on it or something, you know.
You've already talked about the sort of influences in your teenage years. What were the biggest influences you've had as you've gone along through the years? Has your sort of taste across genres changed a lot?
Yeah, like, yeah, I think it's like natural, like, you know, your taste in everything, you know, like nobody's the same person when they're like 28 compared to 30, so yeah, I would say like one of the biggest things was like being in the Vanton band with those guys, because they were all older than me and all had kind of like, they all like each had their own thing, and like it was like just a chance for me to kind of like absorb all of that, like, you know, all their kind of musical tastes or whatever, and then the opposite as well, to like let them check out what I was into, and then probably like, I guess like DJing or that kind of culture as well, is like just like checking things out.
Can you think of an example where working with the Phantom Band and you said their influence on you actually affected your playing or resulted in you producing something for maybe one of those 2 albums you did with them?
Sorry, what was the question?
You talked about the big influence the Phantom Band had on you. Do you mean in terms of the music you started to listen to, or in terms of what you were playing, or does that feed in feed into
the music
another?
I was listening to, like what it just totally opened the doors. You know, like all different, a lot of like krautrock kind of stuff, and like Can and a lot of electronic music and all sorts, and then like all sorts of like art as well, and because Duncan and Andy were artists, or they are artists, and just all sorts, really all sorts, and then also just getting to like see how they kind of like write music as well, getting to write with them. I mean, that's like it's like that with every band, you know. It's like a wee window into people's world.
Yeah.
That you like would never get to see otherwise, you know. So.
Right. One of the earliest acts you had that you invested a huge amount of time in was Bronto Skylift, which was just a 2-piece, just you and Strachan, and then you eventually, there were bands in between, but you eventually went to work with the Phantom Band, which was a 6-piece. Can you talk about the contrast in working in those 2 settings with those numbers of people?
Well, I don't know, it's like pros and cons to each, I guess. Like Bronto was like easy because it was just 2 of us. There was only like, you know, if there was something needed to be done, it was like 1 phone call. Whereas, and then, you know, like that kind of organizational aspect of things. But then, having like 5 other people to like kind of hang out with or play with, or I guess there's like a lot more ideas flying around.
Right.
You know, and then I guess like the pros of like being a 2-piece is like it's very easy to just like get shit going and like do stuff. And then.
What was it like to write between those 2 projects? Because Bronto.
It was actually kind of similar. It wasn't like. It was like both those bands were quite like jammy. If you like, we would just like get in a room and play, and kind of like, you know, play until we liked something and then work on that. They were both kind of like that actually. Like Phantom was kind of similar. Like just that was actually like the biggest strength of the Phantom Band was like just improvising. No, it was always like the most fun. You know, just making it up.
Right. You've done a lot of tours over the years. How many times have you toured the US? Is it just the once?
Twice.
Twice. Both with the Phantom Band?
No, once with Bronto.
Right. And you've done quite a few European tours with different outfits as well.
Yeah, like a bunch. I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 or something.
What's your attitude to touring? What's it like to do those tours? What effect on your life does it have?
It's great. I love it. I mean, it's like it's maybe not as like exciting as it, you know, when you start. But it's great. It's great getting to see places you would never go to, and get to play for like loads of people. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it's kind of like pressing pause on your life a bit. Like, you know, when you go and then it's like it's like I don't know, Neverland or something. You just like go away and then come back and things have changed or something. I don't know. But it's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah, it's just like a lot of like it's kind of hard to get anything done. That's the only thing. So like if you want to like work on music, it's not the best. It's not the most productive time.
Right.
But you kind of figured out how to get shit done or whatever.
Yeah. You just came off tour with Pictus Trail. How many gigs did you play, and where were some of the locations for that tour?
I think it was like 11 shows or something.
Right.
We started in Belgium, and then went through France, and then to Switzerland, and Italy. I think that was it.
And that was in support, of Belle and Sebastian, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you've had the chance to meet some people you listened to when you were younger. The biggest one was that I remember was Jerry Biafra, wasn't it? You met him.
Yeah. Bruno got to support Jello Biafra. That was cool.
Right,
He was a cool guy. Yeah, he was super nice.
So, I mean, has there been any others, kind of big names that you listened to when you were younger and then have gone on to meet and talk to?
Yeah, like I got to meet the guys and like bands when I was like younger. So like NoFX, I met those guys. Like Converge, Dillinger, Escape Plan, and then I don't know, like loads. You kind of it's weird. It's like totally surreal sometimes, and then it's totally normal because it's not like these people or anyone is like actually like not a real person or something,
Yeah. Is there anybody you would still like to meet?
Yeah, of course. Like, well, I don't know who I can think of off the top of my head. Who would I want to meet? Skepta. Maybe. Nah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone really? Like, I mean, everyone's kind of interesting. Everyone's got like a story, so
Yeah.
it's cool. There's actually I would like to meet Sophie. There's a producer called Sophie, who actually came out from Scotland, and was on a label here called, I think it was Numbers or Lucky Me, like this electronic label, and they've done a lot of really cool music.
Right. Is there any particular type of work in music you like best at this point? Because you've done a lot of different stuff, from touring.
Do you mean like music I've made? I've been involved with, or?
Yeah, just anything in particular that you enjoy the most, doing the most. Things like writing or touring or sort of local gigs or anything like that.
I mean, I don't. Well, just the new there's new Cutty stuff about to come out this year, so that's cool. It's been like a bit kind of like, it's a bit noisier stuff again, so it's like fun to play that.
Right.
And then like that Fit to Work stuff was fun. And there's another EP coming out. The drums are finished, so we just need to record everything else.
Is that an EP with Fit to Work?
Yeah, so that'll come out this year some point, I guess.
Yeah. What was it like to go and work with the guys from Fit to Work? Because that's all guys that you were on the same year at school
like
as.
Being in school again. It was like totally not any different. It was just Daniel playing really fast, and then me playing really fast, and Duncan trying to keep up, and Harry screaming his head off. Yeah, not much different really.
What was it like to play in Orkney with those same same guys in a band again after about is it about 10 years since you played before?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It was cool. It was kind of weird, kind of nervous or something because I hadn't played a gig in Orkney in ages. But it was cool. It was cool. People seemed into it. It was fun.
Good stuff. Is there any bit of music that you've worked on that you are particularly proud of, or any particular album or song, anything like that?
Not really. I mean, it's all cool. Like the fact that Phantom album was good. There's two albums because they were kind of recorded at the same time.
Yeah.
They were good. That was cool. And then I recorded with like that band Tough Love. And that was fun. That was like, it's just good times. And then that other band I play with, Secret Motorbikes, is always fun because they never really show me the music. I just go there to record, and then they'll be like, "Here's the song," and I'll just be like, listen to it a few times, and then just go for it. And that's always fun. Yeah.
You've, I suppose it took a little bit of time to establish yourself in Glasgow, but you've become someone who moves between a lot of different projects. Was that an intentional thing that you wanted to do? You wanted to work with different people on different things and sound kind of differently on each thing, or is that just what happens when you're a drummer?
It's like it's just like just seeing how it's like fun to see how everyone like does things, and I like to keep busy. And I like variation, like I like doing different stuff all the time. I mean, I certainly wasn't like, I certainly didn't like when I meet someone I haven't seen in a while and they're like, "Oh, you still in like 5 bands?" And I kind of almost like, I didn't intend for that. I didn't intend to be known as someone who plays in 5 bands, but it's fine. I mean, it's cool. I enjoy playing with different people and just jamming with different people and seeing what happens. And people from different, backgrounds in music. I played like some improv sets with like classically trained people. I played at art galleries on my own, doing like solo sets. It's all. The only thing I would say is like it'd be cool to like put it all. It'd be cool to like. I would like to probably like do some of my own music at some point and kind of like collect all this, try and put all this into one thing and see what that sounds like. But it's not always easy to get time.
What have you got coming up going forward? You mentioned more work with Fit to Work. Do you have other stuff you're doing?
Daniel's away at the moment with Cradle of Filth, so I think when he comes back, he's back for a bit, and then we're gonna record the guitars and do all that stuff. And then Cutty's Gym need to finish recording a second EP, and then we're going to put out the first EP, and then I think the second one will come out later on this year, and we're going to hopefully play a bunch of shows. I think Pictures Trail has some shows somewhere, I don't know. There's been talk of like jamming with Phantom Band, and then I've got a couple of other projects might try and start soon, and then see what happens really. I think the last few years I've been like touring quite a lot, and I would quite like to maybe not tour quite as much. So I can kind of get more like writing and recording done and practice drums a bit more. 'Cause that's the other thing about like going on tour. You can't really practice. You just get to like sound check for like an hour during the day, and then, but you don't really get to like sit and play that much.
On the Orkney Livewire Facebook page, I put out a post asking what you think of the music scene in Orkney, how it could be improved, and who are your favourite bands. So I'm just going to read out some comments now and just see how that going. Ali Tate says, more Wagon Wheel.
Well, I did put a comment back to him if we could get somebody to amp it up a little bit. A metal version of it might be interesting, just for a change.
Yeah, Ali Tate's just a pain in the arse, though. I wouldn't listen to him.
What's Wagon Wheel?
You never heard it before?
No.
You had to go to the
It's
West Midlands.
Old Crow Medicine Show. I like that version, the Old Crow Medicine Show, but Nathan Carter has kind of ruined it a little bit for us, I think. So.
I thought it was a Burton's chocolate biscuit.
Neil Smith
Wagon Wheel.
says Electric Mother. I guess that's his favourite band.
That's quite. Yeah, it was like Electric Mother in capital letters with loads of wee devil faces and a thumbs
Yeah,
up.
I did ask if it was good or bad. He said it was good, obviously. I don't know where the obvious part of it was. But.
Well, Ross Stevenson says, I think it could be improved by pubs paying more. It's been £200 plus a bucket for the near 20 years.
And I think that's a very good point, actually. So, because even when we do the rock festival, we don't really charge an awful lot. We don't get an awful lot from the pubs. I mean, we get a decent amount, but it's not.
Yeah, considering it's sort of 3 days of music.
Yeah.
We fill venues. I know they've got to balance the books as well, obviously. If you're filling a pub on a Saturday night. Then.
But even for independent bands organising their own gigs, they don't really get an awful lot for it. Like you say, it's the £200 and the bucket, or at this time of year, it's less money. It's the 100, 150. So
It's a lot of work. It's not just they're
Turning
not
up
just
and
there
playing.
for 2 hours or an hour and
Yeah.
a half playing. You set you know,
source equipment, make sure everybody's free. It's
setting up equipment, ripping it back
Rehearsing.
down again. You're not getting out of there before 2 a.m. at the very earliest.
Yeah.
An hour.
So that's quite a valid point, I think, to bring to some of the local venues.
Yeah. If they're listening. Then.
So then, Ross, you're suggesting more money for bands, but you're not in a band.
But you're still championing the cause, that's fine. So.
Ryan Walker, if Nathan Carter could come up a bit more often, that would be swell. Well, we've talked about him already.
I think that's enough. Mentioning of Nathan Carter for one podcast.
Nathan Carter.
We got a message in from Dylan Hodgson. Dylan is one of the guys that does the sound, not just for us, but he comes up and works for the Blues Festival as well. But he's written in saying, considering the size and location, I think Orkney probably has the best live music scene of any community in the UK. So that is no small part down to the amazing events put on by Orkney Livewire, and he has had lots of fun attending gigs in Orkney and working for Livewire on many occasions on the sound and lights. However, one thought keeps coming in back to him regarding the lighting for gigs. He is currently studying lighting and sound down at uni in Glasgow, and he's done a few bits of work for freelancing, lighting engineer and designer, and he's been working with the chair on numerous gigs, including their highly anticipated headline gig at the Eden Festival last summer. He had tried in the past to make the Livewire events look as good as they sound, often being approached by promoters and by bands at the last minute, which always adds an element of fun and creativity to the job, but the venue simply can't accommodate the sort of equipment that he would like to use. And he says, I'd love to be able to use better quality kit for some of the larger gigs, for example in Matchmakers, and also use a haze machine, such as the one bought by the Bury Hall last year, because he thinks that would create some amazing atmosphere for gigs. Even the slightest bit of haze in a venue makes any lights look 1,000 times more professional and exciting. He finishes up by saying, I cannot stress enough how much fun I've had working for Livewire, and I can't wait to be back again this summer. Thanks very much for reading this, and I'd love to know your thoughts on the matter.
I definitely think the lighting makes such a difference. It's something that can sometimes be forgotten about.
It creates an atmosphere, definitely. It's a nice point about the hazing machine as well. So not everybody likes the haze machines when they go to gigs. Some folk do, some folk don't. personally, I don't mind as long as it's not too much. I think it can catch you in the back of the throat and just about choke you in some places.
Kind of directed on the stage
Overuse.
because that's where most of the lights are.
Yeah,
so that's where
but
you get-
for certainly, I do a lot of photography. Certainly not professional at any level, but it's something I like to try. And it creates more of an ambience for any photos that are being taken. So it's certainly something worth looking into.
if it gets too much, it's a bit like a New Romantic
Yeah.
music video from 1983 or something.
Do we have any other comments that came in?
Yeah, Paul Harkis said you'd love to hear more original tunes, less cover bands.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's pretty much what the whole rock festival started out to be, was to encourage people that there's more to your, there's people writing music there, and there's so many talented folk in Orkney. You don't have to just do Highway to Hell every Saturday night. There's push your own music.
Yeah, I mean, as we spoke about with the Bigsy Wallops, they've been doing their own stuff. We've got Andy Taylor doing his own stuff, Electric Mother doing theirs. So it is starting to come to the fore. It would be nice just to see a few more bands pushing it, and it'd be nice to see the Arcadian public accepting original music and not just expecting to go out and see a cover band, somebody to play something that they all can. So
Caleb as well with his various things.
Yeah.
Rumham just new, and it was so it happened really well with the heavy metal buffet. The boys up in Shetland, what they did was to get 2 or 3 bands that was original. They'll go out and play in a hall or in a pub, and you've already got sort of 3 or 4 bands watching, so you've already got a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get 1 or 2 punters. The next time you see them, punters will hear the songs. They start to
recognise it and pick it up.
the
Yeah,
music.
and then eventually you've got the likes of the Dirty Lemons having their own songs sung back to them, or Forgotten Sons. It's that sort of. Yeah, you need
almost-
to hear something to recognise it.
Yeah. And it's the same, Rumham, they start to recognise their songs.
Mm-hmm.
They do covers actually. They started off as a Foo Fighter cover band, and then, but they only play covers if they're needing to fill a slot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's their own stuff. And so good point, Paul. I hope it sort of carries on this momentum, because it's definitely in the last 4 or 5 years there's definitely been more original acts up and down.
Maybe we can start a revolution.
Yes, viva. That's it. Obviously, would like to hear anybody's points. If anybody has anything that they want to let us know about, what's been their highlights of not just the Rock Festival, but any of the Orkney Live Wire gigs that we hold. Is there any ways that we can improve on that? Just in general, just send us a comment, whether it be through Facebook comment or speak to one of us. Just let us know.
Andrew Park must have been speaking to you, Scott, about the possibility of starting Battle of the Bands. Is that right?
Yeah, he liked the idea of having a sort of competition to get a place at the... Well, he was talking about headlining the Rock Festival, but I don't know how that would be. But certainly on the main sort of show anyway, would be a good idea. I mean, Walter, you were talking about Battle of the Bands earlier for young folk.
Well,
but-
that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be good to get some young folk involved.
Yeah.
When they did the Battle of the Bands, I think it was like Arcadian sponsored it years ago, didn't they?
Yes.
He did indeed,
And
yeah.
I was actually living in Edinburgh at the time, so I didn't get to any of them really. But
There's been a couple of different generations of Battle of the Bands, because there was the Battle of the Bands when I was finishing at school. There was the ones that was held in the Phoenix. Was it the Phoenix Arts Theatre, something like that?
I remember being up at the Linfield at one.
Yes, there was the Linfield, because
one
that.
in-
Is that where I?
There was, it was the Lapels won one of them, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Red
Fusion.
Alert or something won one of
Fusion,
them as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next generation came with, and it was Caleb and yourself, Scott, was in it, weren't you?
Yeah, well, there was Battle of Bands in school as well.
Yes.
That was always one of the best times of the year in school. It's coming up to
Yeah.
Christmas time, and you'd get bands together, and they were all like 3rd years, 2nd years even. I remember Caleb's band, the Lemmings, played, and they were in 2nd year, and they were really good, I think.
Yeah.
And
And we still have, the Strumness Academy, as I mentioned earlier, still have their own Battle of the Bands. I don't think the Grammar School does anymore, but
no.
Strumness Academy does. So, I mean, that's good that they're championing that. So,
Yeah.
if we could pull on that and grow it from there, then, as Walter said earlier, maybe start on a wider thing for the north of Scotland, then that would be quite good as well. So.
Yeah.
I remember a certain Mr. Cromarty, his band got chucked out of the Battle of the Bands because the music teacher at the time they were definitely going to win. They were the band that was going to win.
Odds-on favourite.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, I must have been 3rd or 4th year, and they would have been a year above. And they're practising Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine, and it got a bit sweary, and the music teacher wasn't just too impressed, so
yes.
they were banned from it, so it spoiled it.
I think I remember that as well, actually.
Bad boys. But no, that's definitely something we've knocked about for the last couple of years, was getting back to the bands when they go again.
Mm-hmm.
And just to freshen up the music scene, get some folk doing their own stuff. In fact, the headliners on Sunday night with Chug stepped in and headlined at the last minute, and they actually won the last Battle of the Bands.
That was in the
Kirkwall.
Fusion, yeah. So like we said earlier, if anybody wants to get in and help us, then there's an opportunity there for somebody.
Yeah, we tend to be quite busy, is why we don't do all these things that we speak about. Mm-hmm. So if someone thinks, I could take that on.
We're happy to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew?
Yes, yeah, good point.
Andrew Park, yeah, you've just nominated yourself. Thank you. Yeah, well, that kind of wraps it up for the 3rd podcast. Are there any gigs coming up that we're planning?
Next weekend in the Motorhouse, there's Electric Mother's March Madness or something, is it? Yeah, March Madness meets the Moho. So that's from 9 o'clock next Saturday night. And this coming Thursday, we've got Ben Otwell, the lead singer from Gomez. He's playing in the Old Library. And then Tide Lines are playing on the 15th of March in the Old Library as well. So there's a couple of little gigs coming up. If anybody knows of anything else, just get in touch and let us know, and we'll stick an advert on the page for it.
Yeah, I don't think Livewire's got anything organised just yet. There's rumours of a couple of Shetland bands coming down in April, maybe.
April time, yeah, and
April,
we've got
May.
maybe something coming off for me as well, so we'll keep you informed for that when that happens.
Yeah, we'll probably have an announcement next podcast, because everything's not finalised yet.
I think so.
So, yeah, I'd say goodbye for me, Christian.
Cheerio for me, Claire.
And goodbye from me, Walter.
And it's goodbye from me, Scott. We're going to go back to some older Ian Stewart now to play us out, and this is Bronto Skylift with Birdcatcher Eater. I'll see you next time.